There comes a time in every person's life when you realise it's not about doing what you are told, but doing what you know is right for you. Let us take a journey of learning and discovery with the world's most successful people who are living the life of their dreams, walking through life using their inner wisdom and being of service to others. Forget exams, grades and test scores. What is your purpose? As we let go of what we think should be and learn from our elders to gain knowledge, inspiration and a true sense of who we are. What are your dreams? Does your life have meaning? Are you living a life of significance? Let's talk with today's guest. Hello and welcome to the Learning on Fire podcast. My name is Mark Taylor and today I'm delighted to take you on a journey about me and the creation of this podcast and also the celebration of this being the second podcast in our Education on Fire podcast network. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about me if this is the first time you've come across us, a little bit about what the show's about and the kind of value we're really hoping to get across for you and exactly how and when you're going to be able to listen to the podcast in the future. So, my background is as a professional musician and educator. I spend the time doing the thing I like the most, which is performing, being a musician, and then sharing that with other people who have a passion for music and want to learn more about it. The most important thing for me is that if we can all live our lives in our zone of genius, if you like, actually really exploring who we are, what we are, and what we'd like our life to look like in the future, and also the creation of the life we want to live now, then we're going to have a lot of very happy, successful people around us. So this podcast came out of a desire and a need from having done some research into my audience of my other podcast, which is now 70 episodes in, Education on Fire, which is about sharing creative and inspiring learning in our schools. I found that there were parents and there were students that were really slightly felt handcuffed by the system, by the education world that they were finding themselves in, and needed something which was going to give them a little bit of control, a little bit of feeling that they could actually create the world that they wanted to, but not quite sure how that was going to look. So this podcast is all about sharing the value, the insights, the wisdom of the most successful and fulfilled people around the world. And by that, I don't necessarily mean just people that are incredibly rich or people who are at the complete top of their fields, but people who are happy in themselves, whatever that looks like for them, whether it's having $1 million in the bank, whether it's about living in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, as long as they feel that they have the chance of creating the life that they want to on their terms, or if they actually do feel that they're not completely in control, but they know how to deal with that, then I think that's a great starting point. And I think as we go through the interviews, we'll start to see some common threads about how we can implement that in our lives as well. This is an ongoing journey, both for me and for everyone listening, and I really hope that you get involved both through emailing me and leaving them some messages on the Education on Fire website, where there's going to be show notes and details of all the resource material which everyone's going to be recommending. So the structure of the show is going to be based around a set of 10 questions which I'm going to ask every person that I interview. And that's going to be a little bit about their background and what life was like when they were growing up. And we're going to hear about their school experiences and the teachers that made a big impact on them and why that was the case. We're going to discuss a little bit about the people they admired as they were growing up and why they had impact on them, and then the advice that they were given by either the people within their education field or also maybe their family members or people around them as they were then growing up. And then we start to get a little bit into the advice they'd like to pass on to the people listening and the people who are looking to sort of create the life that they want to live themselves, and then share some of the resources which have made a big impact, whether that's a podcast or a book or anything which they've come across which has actually made a really large impact that they'd like to be able to share, so that we can start to build up really a bank of resources and information that give us somewhere to start and for us to explore beyond the things that we're just listening to in the podcast. All of these things we'll be sharing on the show notes, which you'll be able to find through the homepage, which is educationonfire.com. I'd like to think of this podcast really as a conversation between a parent and a child, almost like a mentor and their student, just in terms of sharing some of the great advice, some of the things you'd like to pass down to the next generation. not stopping the people listening from having their own experiences, because that's incredibly important. And one of the things that comes through in a lot of these interviews is patience and times and things happening in their own way. But just, we only know what we know. And so if we're surrounding ourselves with people who've managed to create the life they want to live, just understanding what those things are that we can implement now, so we can start taking control of creating the life we want to live ourselves from today in a way that we can do it, that I think will empower us to really just, even if we feel like we're constrained in our current life, we will be able to make a difference and focus on what's really, really important to us. So you're listening to episode 000, and if you're excited about exploring some of the people that we're going to be interviewing, I've also released episode 001 and 002 at the same time, so you can actually go and listen to the first two interviews and really get a sense of what this podcast is all about. And I hope you're really excited about that, and please give me some feedback. Please feel that you can email me anytime, mark@educationonfire.com. I'm really keen to hear what you think, whether the questions really resonate with you, whether the experiences that you're hearing are really helping you in terms of getting an idea of how you want your life to progress. So you have 2 more episodes to explore and enjoy now, and then in the future we're going to be releasing one show every Friday. That's going to come out overnight Greenwich Mean Time, because I'm based here in the UK. And it'll be available on any platform that you're used to listening to a podcast. So it'll be available on my website, which is educationonfire.com, iTunes, Stitcher if you're an Android user, or any other platform that you're used to using yourself. So we're a family, we're a community of people really helping our children, helping students to live the life that they want to live. So if you're a parent, if you're a teacher, please pass this podcast on to the students or your children so they can listen and get the inspiration from these incredible people that I'm going to be interviewing. If you are a student and you're just looking to create the life you want to live, then welcome, and I really look forward to sharing this journey with you and to hopefully let these people inspire you to feel that you can create exactly what it is in your life that you want to do now. No need to wait. Let's get this going straight away. The best way to get in touch with me, keep the dialogue going, is to email me at mark@educationonfire.com. You can always sign up to the newsletter. The home of this podcast and all the podcasts on the network is educationonfire.com, and that way we can keep you up to date with everything that's happening, let you know the releases of the podcasts, any blogs and any resources that we're able to give away. So thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to chatting to you every week on a Friday, and I look forward to sharing this journey with you. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for listening to the Learning on Fire podcast. For more information, please visit educationonfire.com and follow the links from the homepage. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire.